Yo, welcome back. This is part two of the Jenny and the Senseless Fire video. It's about censuses and courthouses burning down. Split it up into two parts to make it easier. The first part was about how my county's courthouse has burned down several times, and so has a lot of people's. So, anyways, I got into that, and now I'm about to talk about why that may have happened, in my opinion. So, let's go. Now, there are 67 counties in Alabama. That's right, 6-7. Now, over 30, over half even, according to to which source you look at, over half of the counties had courthouses that burned down at least once. Some had multiple, up to 4. Now, when I was looking, it only showed our courthouse burning down once, but there's 2 or 3 times that our courthouse burned down that they don't talk about. Now, the census information, along with legal documents, deeds for land, contracts, marriage licenses, all that stuff was stored in the courthouses. So when a courthouse burns down, all that just goes away, right? And you just got to take someone's word for it about everything now, right? So, our courthouse burned down and destroyed all the census information in the 1890s. A lot of people's courthouses burned down. And it wasn't just the census information, it was a lot of other stuff. But I'm focusing on the census information. Because they had, when I looked into it, there would be 2 copies. One to keep locally, one to send to the state for archiving purposes. And I guess potentially another copy will be made of that and sent for the National Archive. I don't know, because we'll get into that as well, alright? Now, it was discovered to me that this happened because I was looking for census information about Covington County, and the genealogist that I was looking into says that all the 1890s genealogy information was destroyed by a fire in 1890. The information before 1890, if you look up these census forms, is pretty basic. It's how many white men, how many black men, how many white women, how many black women, how many slaves, how many free people. It's really basic. And based off of just the idea that they were going around these massive distances and dealing with people. And are you sure you counted everybody? Really? You think you counted everybody? Okay. So before 1890, it was very basic. But they did standardize the forms eventually. But up until then, they were just using pieces of paper and what did they say? Merchants, ledgers, and accounting books, journals, diaries, anything that was a bunch of paper joined together, they could keep a list in, right? So, how hard would it be, or how easy would it be to falsify or leave out or add in anything, right? Back then, if you wanted to. So, in 1950, the Federal Records Act was passed through Congress, and it decreed that you would have 50 years on executive level information. That included the census information. It was argued by the director of the archives, Dr. Wayne C. Grover, that 50 years was not long enough, and it should potentially be indefinite, only for the census information, right? Because of names and addresses and stuff like that they said could be sensitive and potentially violate people's privacy. Like they gave a shit about that back then. And if they did, look at how different it is now. And also, why couldn't they just leave their names off and still release the data? So, it was argued by Dr. Wayne C. Grover that 50 years was not long enough, and in a letter of correspondence between Dr. Roy V. Peel, the director of the census, and Dr. Wayne C. Grover, archivist, it was decided that 72 years was a better number than 50, and the federal act was subverted by a written fucking letter. Now, I looked up the difference in a federal law and a federal act. We'll see if I still got that up here, because it was, yeah, alright. A federal law refers to the body of laws created by the national government, including statutes, regulations, and treaties. So federal law is like a category. A federal act is a specific piece of legislation that has been passed by Congress and signed into law, thus becoming part of federal law. So, these two gents just had a little pen pal thing and decided just between the two of them that maybe 50 years wasn't long enough and it needed to be longer than the human average lifespan, which at the time was 68 years old. So let's bump it up to 72, right? That was 1951. 50 is when they passed the law. So in 52, the 1880 census was released on the new 72-year schedule. And in 1962, the 1890 census, which was destroyed by fire in 1921, was released. It's a whole lot of nothing, right? And 1880 and before was essentially like if they wrote it on a napkin, then that was good enough to count. And, whatever. Right? It's like keeping your own logbook. So, the 1900 census became available in 1973. Because remember, 72 years. It meant that you had to take a trip to the National Archives. And only approved individuals like historians, archivists, attorneys, whoever was approved was allowed to go in and look at that. And it was real sensitive type of information. So it wasn't until 1977 that this census was opened up to the public for distribution, like microfilm and microfiche. You might not know about microfiche, but that's too bad, man. Now, before the 1900 census was released to the public in 1977, House Resolution 10686 was introduced into Congress in 1975 on November the 11th, which was the end of the First Great War. Just noteworthy in my mind. It was introduced into Congress to extend the 72 years to 75. So 72 wasn't even long enough, right? I mean, I know 50 was a push, and 72, I mean, that's got to be long enough, right? But by 75, they tried to do it to 75, man. It's like that fight for 15 dumb shit that they did to wagey employees. Just get 15 an hour, right? 15, man. Alright, well, how about 75 for 75, Just put the number in. Use the number of the year you're on, So, this wanted to push it out to 75 years. And that didn't work out. It got defeated, or whatever. And, all that to be said, that it leads me to believe, my opinion here, that it was never the intent to disclose any of the so-called census information to us, and for many obvious reasons, such as it was falsified or it was non-existent. It just wasn't there in the first place. They didn't do the work. What's better than doing a bunch of government work and forcing people to comply with the census and probably getting paid well for it too by their standards back then, and you getting to gallivant all over the place. It's better than doing that than just saying that you're doing it and not doing anything at all, right? Like, devil's advocate there is that the worst case scenario of this is just that the people went and did this stuff and they didn't even do anything. But actually, the 1790 census and the 1810 census and the 1820 all the way up to 1830, they were missing several of the states. The 1790 census was missing 6 states. Just didn't even have any information, and some states were supposed to mail their information in and they just never got it. Lost it in the mail, man. Lost it in the mail. Now, I say it was never their intent to disclose this information, but I don't know if the information ever even existed. And whatever you could go and pull up now, at this point, by the time they released the 1900 census to the public in 77, I feel like they probably figured out how to close most of the obvious gaps that people will be looking for. But they forgot one thing there, Botro. We'll get there. So, many courthouses all across America burned down in the second half of the 19th century. Over 30 counties and many with multiple burnt buildings in Alabama alone. Here we go. Genealogists have long been aware of the 1890s curtain of fire. That's my term. You can use it or improve it. Please do. That blocks them from researching their family's histories. Page after page on these search results of genealogists not being able to find. Let's see, where's that page? Aha. So I checked out. This is where I was looking into the burning dates of the courthouse. But if you just go down this, look, burned courthouses, tracking your roots. Andalusia Encyclopedia of Alabama. Well, if you just take, let's take Andalusia and Covington County and all that out of it. You see, here's an article about tracking your roots that you may have a shot at finding them. Article after article, particularly on the genealogy page, there was one of the search results had genealogy. Oh, alright, well, at any rate, the genealogists know about this. At least that there's a block, because all of the data was burned from 1890. So they get back to a certain point and you can't go any further. What's that all about? Okay. Now, this time period is known as Jemny. Jemny. Because of all the poor, innocent, persecuted documents that burned in those ovens, courthouses. They destroyed the records, the contracts, deeds, marriage licenses, birth records. All of this represents the link to the past that was destroyed and taken away from us, leaving nothing but the sad, empty shoes of the burned papers. Did these documents even exist? Is that why the buildings were burned? To hide that there was no actual paper trail? If they did exist, then upon their destruction, who now owned the land, honored the contracts, or honored the marriage? How did they prove it? There were seemingly not that many people in the 19th century. In fact, the official population data, however accurate it is, states that the county of Covington, which has had 5 courthouses with potentially up to 3 of them burning down, and 2 of them designed by prominent architects of the time, had a population of 7,500 people after 45 years of incorporation as a county. If there were so few people here, then why would there even be any contention over ownership of anything? If the buildings were burned to hide the past, then the destruction of the records would be the reason. The storage of physical documents and buildings was the internet of that time. Libraries, banks, and courthouses were the storage media, and destroying a few copies, for instance at the state and county levels, then all records could be controlled by the National Archive. If they destroy the only copies that anyone but they have, then you have to accept the numbers that they give. And if the information isn't released for 72 years, then how do we trust any information from the census at all? They were only censusing people from age 16 and up, per the Constitution and the ratification of it and the institution of the census in 1790, right? 16 and up. They were counting the kids too, but the people involved in the census would be 72 plus 16 years old, okay? So 88. My grandmother's 91. You think she knows how many people there were around here when she was 16 years old? Hell to the no, man. She doesn't. She wouldn't. you can only take the numbers that they tell you at face value. And if you look into it at all, they start to fall apart. Or they just don't exist. Like the census data. And the stuff before 1890, so 1880 to 1790, was not protected by the federal Records Act. So it had supposedly already been made public. But again, the census, at least as far as I could tell that far back, was pretty basic. So we have a picture of... Man, I had a picture of the census. It was very basic. Well, okay. Instead, let's look at these guys' buildings, okay? This is the front of our courthouse. It's really tall, man. I mean, it's a big old giant building. It's huge. See? This is a big one. That's the side of it, obviously. There she is from the back. A bunch of columns. A bunch of fancy stuff. All sorts of neat. I mean, this is pretty typical for the sort of stuff that you see from back then, you know. Let's look at, this is our second courthouse. This is the closest thing to a picture of it that I could find. Alright, there we go. That's the second courthouse, and it was designed by this Walt Chamberlain. Where are you, Walt? Yeah, okay. So Walt Chamberlain designed all of these, and some of these, the ones that aren't links, didn't have, like I couldn't find a picture I couldn't find a Wikipedia on that one, so I did the next best thing. Look at that. So this dude that built our second courthouse, this is the kind of stuff he was turning out. That's brick, alright? And I sure thought that... Oh, you know what? Before I go any further, a lot of the information I found helped me along was from this chick called Nancy Maxwell. And where is it? Oh man, I came to her about page and I reopened this, so I don't remember the article, but this chick Nancy Maxwell from Grapevine Public Library, she did a lot of good research into this, and I verified it and double checked it, but she got me helped. She got me helped going on the right path here. Okay, so here's one of the buildings that the guy who built our second courthouse built. It's got this cool dome on top with a big old clock. Alright? And I had to look that one up. Ah, yes. This one. He built this one. That's pretty cool. It's got another dome on top with a clock. That's sort of his deal. And then this one, I believe I already have that one. Yeah. He also built this one. Now, surprise, surprise, it has a dome on top with some clocks. Pretty nifty. And this place here, Jefferson Davis County Courthouse, dome on top with clocks. Dome on top. Probably got a clock. That's not the most... Oh, hey, what do you know? Dome on top, clock. Now, this guy built this courthouse. Now, it took it till December 1989, but eventually damaged in a fire. Crittenden County Courthouse, built in 1911, replacing the county's second courthouse, which was destroyed by fire in 1909. Oh, my mouse just got destroyed by fire on 9/11/33. This one, I don't think it got destroyed by fire yet. Pretty good. They're probably going to make it. Didn't check to see if it's destroyed by fire. Some of these don't have a lot of information about them. It's hard to find. I thought this was interesting. These two things are associated, obviously, right? And of course, there's counties named after that, and good old JD, right? Of historic fame. Uh, I know some people whose last name is this. That's cool. All these buildings were built by this cat here, W. Chamberlain, Walt Chamberlain. All right, and then let's see. All right, did we talk about all that stuff? Here is a map of the courthouses that have burnt down. A lot of them down here. A lot of them up there. Some over here, and just, a little bit in the middle. Right? And here's the list and the dates. It's very interesting, man. Connecticut. 4 times. I wonder if they still only got one on here for Andalusia. And it's 1895. I'm telling you, there's mixed sources on this information. Which should just go to show you how trustworthy just taking the word of it is. Now, don't take my word for any of this shit, man. Go look it up. Alright? I'm not going to put any links in here. You're going to have to do the research yourself. But that's good, because it'll make you smarter. Trust me. I used to be dumb. I still am. Trust. So these are the ones that burnt. Yeah, so census. What the hell even is it if we can't see it for 72 years? You just gotta take their word for it that what they're telling you is accurate. That sounds super safe and like a really good idea. So yeah, there it is. That's all I got. It's only twice as long as I wanted it to be, but yeah, that's it. Happy Saturday, man. Senseless. And jemny. Yo. Yo. So that's that. That is the second part. Part 2, as we say. Number 2, to a deuce, of the presentation on Jenny, and the senseless fires. Now, the Jenny in question it's more of a figurative Jenny. If you were paying attention, you probably already know this, but let's just go ahead and make sure we understand. A whole lot of these courthouses, almost every courthouse that I have featured in this presentation at any point in time, and granted they were all from good old Alabama, they all went bye-bye. This one's in Greene County, North Carolina, 1876, year of the telephone, right? Allegedly, supposedly. And this is what Jenny actually is. Jenny is simply the mass destruction of the paper documents that represent the land deeds, marriage, birth record, and anything on paper that identifies us legally. In this case, this story is about these fine people, right? However, if it happened in your county and your records were in there, then you have now found yourself, back then, you have now found yourself unpersoned. You've been canceled, right? If your courthouse burns down with all of your deeds, records, contracts, notices, legal binding things, the proof, right? If all that goes away, then you are unpersoned. And it's even worse than unpersoned because now your stuff's up for grabs, right? I mean, it's one thing if you lose your driver's license and you have to get another one, But if you lose the deed to your house and someone else has that now and they get it somehow transferred to them, which I know that never happens, right? That never happens. But if it could happen, it'd be a whole lot easier to happen back then. And there'd be nothing to prove it except for the official proof. And if your place burnt down that had your records and you went to obtain the backups of the records and then it turned out that that place burnt down too, man, you should have some questions. My point is this. Not only can we not trust what the media says, okay, because of Operation Mockingbird and the Smith-Munt stuff and just propaganda and liars and spin and slant and advertising and marketing and in general, you can't trust history because history is lies agreed upon. Now, I always thought that was us agreeing to just accept that as the story and that's what the lies agreed upon are, but it's actually the people pushing the control that agree on the lies. For instance, if they burn down all the courthouses and then, Joe Schmo comes into town and he goes, oh, well, hey, this is all my land. Well, if everyone agrees that that's his now, even though the courthouses are burned down, well, that's a lie agreed upon. And that's not even the good lies, It's not even the juicy stuff. That's just simply the courthouse burned down, so now all this stuff's up for grabs. And coincidentally, there's not many people in these counties, so what is even being argued about, right? I mean, there's 35,000 people in my county, allegedly, according to, the records. And there's still plenty of room. No offense, please don't come here and try to take that room. We like it rural, and we like it kind of empty. But at the same time, we're not stacked on each other like sardines. And if I can just find this fucking population information, I looked at it enough to know. Look, in Covington County in the year 1890, there was 7,500 people. By 1910, there was 32,000 people, and now in 2020, they say there's 37,570, I think, or 37,750. I don't know, because I'm dyslexic. I can't get the numbers backwards, so we'll see. My point is, there wasn't many people here before 1900, because in 1899, the railroads came. So until the railroads came, it was small time, small potatoes, small town. Still is. But until the railroad, there's very few people. And I would imagine that probably part of burning all the stuff in the 90s was to get ready to have a way for the railroad to come through. I mean, you don't got to do eminent domain on a bunch of people that don't understand what eminent domain is if you just burn down all the courthouses and then you say, oh, this is so-and-so's land. And then that person gets to benefit off of it, right? Whatever. Now I'm talking shit, so I don't know. Anyways, that's the presentation on the census and the burned down courthouses and these cool guys, Frank Lockwood and W. Chamberlain. And I hope that if you guys have any buildings built by cool architects in your town, that you'll just drop me a little comment, let us know. If you have any experience with our friend Jenny and the senseless fires, okay? Again, I'm in a regular little town. That's how many people we got in the whole county. There's like 9,000 people in my town. So it's not that big. And check this out, if you would. If you stuck around this long, thank you so much. And check all of this good information out and take action, please. And let's help push this out there so we can help figure stuff out. This ain't about me or people knowing me or me getting paid off of this. Man, I'm never going to get paid off of this, and that's okay. I ain't doing this for money. I want to help y'all figure this out, man, because statistically it's 89% men listening to me, and y'all are all my age or younger. So it's statistically younger folks, younger dudes, and the more that you know, the better prepared you'll be to observe this stuff and try and figure something out by the time you're an old shit like me, man. And yeah, so I hope this is helpful. It's not the end. And all this stuff is just an offer. You don't have to accept the offers to go along with the ideas pushed on you by society. I mean, that includes the stuff that I'm saying. Go do your own research and figure this out, and let's figure out what's really happening, you know? But, yeah. Hey, thanks, man. Thank y'all for watching. Happy Sunday. And y'all have a good day. Peace.